Once a dilapidated building, about to be condemned, has rolled over to become a sleek and clean hangout for all ages. Meet Deborah Williams and Gary Eastman, the ones responsible for Bristol Skate Inn's rebirth into Bristol Skateway.
Roller rinks have a newspaper that tells you what's for sale or what's going on in the country. We've been looking for a rink for about 10 years. Most of them were in the $1.5 million range, and that just couldn't happen. So this one needed so much love and repair that we were able to afford to purchase it. We came out to Bristol 3 different times. We absolutely fell in love with the place. It's an old-fashioned town, completely modernized. And we just weren't ready for that. It's wonderful. Bristol is absolutely amazing. To give you an idea, they helped us change the street name because I didn't want to go through life as Kmart Drive. So to have a street named after you, Skateway Drive, that alone. But the people, they just come in hundreds, and everybody, I haven't heard one negative thing. Everybody has been complimentary. We're far from done. We want to just keep going. And with them visiting and coming to our sessions, that's going to happen.
All right, skaters, go ahead. Hit the brakes, turn around one more time, and back to the regular skating direction.
When I got here, all the pipes in the building had burst, and the fire sprinklers, and so when I got here, I was in March of this past year, there was no water. All the water was shut off to the building. The building was just filthy, dirty, moldy, musty, everything. I had to turn on the fans for half an hour every day before I would walk in. It just smelled so bad, and I couldn't clean it because we had no water. Well, they came out and they replaced 180 sprinkler heads and got everything put back together and turned on the water. And when they turned on the water, all of a sudden we had water squirting out of the parking lot, out of the walls, everything. All the plumbing had burst as well. So we had to shut the water back off. And I went for about a month and a half with no water in this place. So it was really hard to get things going. And so we started with the outside. And we got the outside painted. They did a tremendous job with that. The plumbers were awesome. I was living in the trailer while we were doing this, and they would just fill me up every 2 or 3 days with water so I could live. And then we got to the floor where everything had flooded. The floor had swelled up. There was big giant mounds on the floor, and mountains and holes and valleys. So we had to get the floor out and get the building dried out before I could bring the hardwood in. And we were trying to figure out how to get the floor out. We wound up using a bobcat, and we just ran a saw across the floor and ripped up one section at a time and took it out the door to the bobcat. Of course, the door is about 4 inches wider than it used to be. We thought we might be able to salvage the carpet because I had no idea that it had flooded so badly. And what we found out was the carpet had been soaked, under the carpet was soaked, under the tile was soaked. So we just had to rip it all out. Well, and then at that point in juncture, I was doing a lot of traveling back and forth to Florida because I'd bought out several rinks in Florida's inventory to bring up here, the sound system, the mirror balls, things like that. And while I was in Florida, the wood for the floor arrived 3 days early. And so I had a tractor trailer sitting in the parking lot with 14,000 square foot of hardwood. And luckily the guys that I had here were able to handle it. They got it inside, protected so it wouldn't rain on it. We got all that stacked up. I forget what we figured on the floor. The floor I think I know it took 930 sheets of OSB, and then I want to say it was 180,000 nails that went into that floor because it goes down one stick at a time. And it took us about a month and a half to get the floor in. In the middle of this, we still had no air conditioning. And by that time it was August. Everything just kind of fell together at the last minute. We were still working on the building to the very last minute before we opened, putting down new carpet tile or putting in new games or whatever. But you know, we've modernized it quite a bit. During the construction, we had a lot of visitors just come in out of curiosity to see what was going on and everything like that. And once we opened, they all came back in with stories of this rink. They all came in and said, oh, I broke my tooth over there. I had my first kiss down there. I grew up in this place. Everybody in this town, all the adults, had grown up in this place. And they were so sad to see that their children wouldn't get the same opportunity that they got. But as far as the construction goes, those were the main obstacles, I would say, was the water conditions, and then you know, just trying to get everything out. I know that it took 22 construction dumpsters to unload the place. And it was basically, there's not 1 square inch of the building we haven't touched, from painting it to cleaning it to replacing it. They did an interview with me for the television before we opened, you know, when I was still in the middle of all this. And it just showed me shaking my head going, it's gotta go. It's all gotta go. So, but we did it. We finally got it going and got it up and running, and the community's been great. So much support and so much love. You know, it's like there's been, we had 4 banks turn us down when we went into this endeavor. And one of them said, well, who's gonna go to a rundown rink behind a closed up Kmart? And I said, if you rebuild it, they will come, and they do. So we've been very pleased with it, very happy with it.
Both myself and Gary and our other partners, we have 5 partners, by the way, total, including us. But we've all been in the industry for years and years and years, from working it to being skaters. Gary is a world skater. I'm a national skater. His sister, who's joined us, was a skater for many, many years. And Grant and Jennifer are partners who still reside in Florida and have no intentions of moving to Bristol, even though they love us. Have been in the industry for years. Grant was our Christian DJ for 10 years, working with us when we managed another rink. And he came to Bristol to see what I had found. Because I called and said, do you want to try? And he came out and he said, did you stage this? There is no town that perfect. I'm originally from Philadelphia. Gary, my partner in crime, is originally from New Jersey. And we even purchased a rink one time in DeQueen, Arkansas. Population 6,000. And that's when we realized we must have a talent, because even there it was a success. We sold it within 3 years and then moved to Florida. In Florida we worked for different people in different rinks, and then finally saw something that we could afford to take a challenge with. We opened actually the last 2 days of September. So I technically say we've been open since October. So, but yeah, we're going strong. We had our first set of holidays, which for any entertainment industry can be very scary. You don't know if people are going to come or if they're going to be spending money on their own families or traveling and things like that. Bristol surprised us in the best ways. They all came. We had breakfast with Santa. We had Santa's secret workshop. We already rolled back our prices for the holidays so that the kids, while they were out of school for 2 weeks, could afford to come, and the town just embraced it.